Well, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon to our friends in Europe. Thank you so much for joining us. This is our second in a series of our Promo Alliance webinar. This one will be discussing how the industry, both overseas and domestically, is doing in Q2. I have some really great panelists with us. I'm so excited because I know 3 of the 4 of them, and the 4th one I'm very interested in getting to know better, and that would be Mirko. So I'm going to go around and just introduce everybody briefly and then ask you just, in under a minute to tell everybody about your businesses, just so we have a point of reference as far as the space that you play in. I'm going to start with, because Amy is the one doing the heaviest of heavy lifting here, because she is based in Seattle on the west coast of the United States. So for her, it is just about 7 a.m. So I really appreciate her being here. Amy Wolf is the owner of Evo3 Marketing, as I said, in Seattle. Karina Peacock, my dear friend, in Baltimore, Maryland. So she's on the East Coast of the United States like I am. Mirko, and I'm going to let you say your last name.
Hässlich.
That's it. That sounds so much easier than it looks. Is based in Germany. And Angela Wagstaff, my dear friend from the UK, who's at a conference right now and excused herself to join us. Angela, of course, is based in the UK, and we're going to talk to all of them. Welcome, everybody. Please put your questions in the chat. I will look at them in real time and address them to our panelists. And Amy, if you could get us kicked off and kind of tell us about your business. Amy and Karina both are very global in their intent as far as their business. Amy, I believe, has a global MBA. Karina and Amy both were in Europe earlier this year at the PSI show, Karina, and the Merchandise World show in the UK, which I think is so smart from a business standpoint. As clients become more global, you need to go to the shows overseas. So certainly, Mirko is at the PSI show, Angela goes to Merchandise World, but it's just such a crucial element if you want to take your business to that next level of internationalism. So Amy, I'm going to pipe down now, and please tell us about you and your business.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you, Michelle. And it's nice to see all of the other promotional products industry, a specialist here around the globe. Thanks for joining today. So my name is Amy Wolf, and I am CEO and founder of Evo3 Marketing, and we are a boutique marketing agency located here in Seattle. Our inception was about 7 years or so ago. And in Seattle, we have a tech sector here that's pretty large, and so we're downstream from Amazon, Microsoft, and then many other tech companies that maybe you haven't heard of, but are definitely fairly large players within the AI industry in particular. That's we've seen a recent surge in that over the last few months. Our area of expertise really is in trying to diversify. So yes, we know tech because we live and breathe it, but we are a global entity. And we really try to focus on other industries, such as tech industry outside of Seattle that are maybe in some other genres, and then as well construction industry. So we have a wide base, and then we're expanding also into some on the East Coast, more so into some larger companies that maybe are in more agricultural sector, and so we've really tried to diversify. Just start from the tech position, and but we're in Seattle and love being here and a part of the ecosystem here.
Of course, thank you, Amy. Mirko, based in Germany. Where are you in Germany?
Yeah, we're based in Germany in Senden. That's in Germany we tell near Münster, but no one outside from Germany knows Münster, so it's near Cologne. That's the most people outside from Germany know Cologne. We are a promotion item wholesaler. We are operating in the online business, in drop shipping, and also in full service and fulfillment. Started in this industry 17 years ago with an old school friend with the first acquisition, and now we've 10 acquisitions in Germany. So we have different offices over Germany, because in Germany customers are interested to have the consultants near by their office. So that's our way. We're not focused on any industry. So we have customers really in all industries in Germany. everyone can buy promotion items by us.
I think people assume, Mirko, that certainly I would have, that in Germany that the automotive industry is huge for promo.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
And we have competitors in Germany that have big players from the automobile, like Audi. They also do the promotion item business for them in the US, and all is, but the headquarters in Germany.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Angela, good morning. Good afternoon.
Morning, Michelle. Thank you for having us. Really lovely to see everyone, and it's great to be a part. I'm director of Allweg Promotions, so we've been established for 25 years, celebrating our birthday this year, which is amazing. Thank you. Certified B Corp, which is a huge thing for us, and I'm sure we're going to touch on sustainability today. For us, our market, we are predominantly, I'm going to say 65% education, public sector, which is great most of the time. We'll probably touch on some of that as well. We also have quite a lot of clients, particularly with their stock schemes, because we have our own warehouse or warehouses in automotive, construction, tech, and also those that are selling their own kind of solutions, wellbeing solutions, onboarding solutions, and that type of thing. So I'm also honoured and privileged to be chair, now president of the British Promotional Merchandise Association, and that's how I've always been honoured to meet Michelle and the team at ASI, which you mentioned Merchandise World, and you know, really great event. We love PSI equally, and you never know, one day I might actually get over to ASI's event in Chicago, but I know it's great because I get lots and lots of feedback from our members. So thank you for inviting me to be here today.
Of course, and we'd love to have you in Chicago, Angela, anytime, anytime. And Miss Karina, the last time I was with you, we were careening in an Uber down a long and winding street in the UK. So we both survived.
I know. I will never forget that. You will always be my survivor. Well, thank you for allowing me to participate. I'm so excited. We've been in business. I founded the company 31 years ago, so I'm really aging myself here. But we really started out in healthcare and expanded. We really specialized in the healthcare market for quite a while, for our first, I'd say 5 to 10 years, and that brought us really across the nation, because if you know your client, you know, on the East Coast is healthcare, you know, you start to specialize all across the country, which then we built the foundation of fulfillment and kitting in the Midwest, and in Chicago and Dallas and on the East Coast. So we're headquartered in Baltimore, but we have a presence, I would say, everywhere in the US. So then we went full force into the higher ed market. We're really strong in that, as well as manufacturing. And I guess we'll get into that too, but you know, a lot more manufacturing coming into the United States has been a really fantastic market, and energy as well. I would consider us touched upon earlier, everyone is our client, obviously, as is everybody, but we really like to focus on more so like an experiential marketing, you know, not just an item, but how is that item being used? And that's the fun part. That's the real fun part of it. I guess that's it.
Great. Thank you so much. Well, I'd like to start off with the four of you, just to kind of level set across the board what your particular marketplace looks like right now and your business in it, as far as how are sales? How are they in Q1? How are they doing in Q2 as compared to the last year? Just in case anybody doesn't know, here in the US overall, sales in Q1 were down, you know, our metrics show about 1%. It was probably more than that when you factor in inflation. So Mirko, let's start with you. How is your business doing in Q1, Q2, and Germany overall?
I think our business runs like a business in Germany overall. It's normal that the Q2 is a little bit better than Q1, and it's the same this year. What's positive for us, for our company, is that our Q2 this year is around 10% better than last year. This is what we're looking for, and that's it even could be more, yeah, for sure. But that's okay for the actual situation.
And to what do you attribute that bump of 10%, Mirko? If you were to kind of look at it.
I think Germany is a little bit special, or you can to the US, because we after the pandemic our sales are still lower, and in the US the sales rise up after the pandemic very fast, and in Germany it wasn't in this way, so it goes step by step, and I think this is one reason, because this year we were around 10% better than last year.
And Mirko, if you were to kind of put a pin in it, how would you project, and I know we're about midway through the year, right? How do you think that the rest of the year is going to look? Just your sense of what you're seeing so far as Q3, Q4 for the gift giving season.
Oh, we think it would be really good. Q3 must be good, because our new orders from January till now are around 20% higher than last year. So Q3 must be good, because many of these orders will become turnover in Q3. And Q4, we hope it would be the same, but it depends on what orders will come in the next month. We still have some big orders for dowries or something like this for the end of the year, but for us it's too early to say how would Q4 really end.
You sound very optimistic, though. That's hopeful. Angela, how's Brexit treating you guys, my friend? How's everything going over there in the UK? Q1, Q2?
Yeah, I think Brexit now is no longer, it's more of a distant memory. I think the impact was huge for us. I think everything's settled, you know, legislation, customs, commodities, taxes, everything's settled. We've got, for us, it wasn't so much about the actual change, it was the infrastructure that changed it. Whereas now I think we're all okay, you know, we get it, we know what we should be doing. We've all fallen over a few times. We've learned our lessons. So Brexit's not the impact, I think, for us. I mean, obviously we've just seen our election declared, so for us it was a funny old year, because it started a couple of quiet weeks, we're thinking, oh, this is strange, and then it just rocketed, and then we had, for us, as I said, public sector, you know, there was a lot of spend, there was a lot of people knowing that there was possibly an election coming, so it was a little bit of budget dumping, I'm afraid, but also this quarter, and I think in some instances we've got some sectors that have dropped. For us, certainly tech, automotive is flying. Education is now drawing its horns in. I think what you'll find is with everyone's just waiting now, because for some of the organisations that we deal with, depending on whether or not it's a change of government, could impact them with the way they're funded, the way they operate, particularly with transportation and things like that. So for us, we're seeing a great Q2, and it's still an increase on last year, but in the last 2 weeks we've probably just had that moment where we've heard quite a few clients and quite a few members of the BPMA saying, yeah, we're just waiting until after the election now. Not too sure what we're waiting for, but it's the we'll just hold fire for the minute. So that has impacted probably only the last couple of weeks, and again it'll all pick up, but generally booming, and you know, great markets.
Great, thank you. I saved the two Americans here for last, because there's an interesting phenomenon happening in the States, where there are certain economic markers that point to actually a fairly robust economy. Unemployment is down, wages are up, but yet buyers, it seems to me, from what I'm hearing in the US, buyers, so that would be Karina and Amy's customers, are hesitant to spend their marketing budgets. So I'm curious what they both have to say about that, as far as what they're saying. How are your businesses doing in Q1 and Q2? Amy?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, because I just had a call with our Sanmar rep, you know, Sanmar being our large promotional products company here in the US and obviously worldwide, but apparently our company Evo3 is up significantly, like a lot in Q1, Q2, but I think that's also because we're downstream and we were able to capture some of that AI momentum from the tech industry. We've done a lot now with, I mean, Microsoft's our client, but Copilot on different facets within Microsoft is such a huge organization that we have a couple of groups that touch on that. And I just, like I said, I had a call with our SanMar rep and she said that we're up significantly, but that's not what the rest of her clients are, is what she said. And she doesn't ever, you know, give specifics, but I think it's really important to know where you are, you know, within the industry, within your comparables. And we noticed that we had a pretty large, you know, January in our Q1, and it was not a holdover from Q4. It was like new business going in. Some of that was from the food and beverage sector. So, you know, the large activations for the non-alcohol promotional products, you know, division. So yep. Clearly Canadian, I will mention that because we are their distributor and we love that product, but that's a perfect example of someone in the beverage industry that is in the non-alcoholic that is seeing a huge surge and a lot of popularity. So we were able to capture that from there. It'll be really interesting to see what Q4 is, because as a business owner and entrepreneur, I never count my chickens before they hatch. So
of course. Yeah,
so I'm always a little bit hesitant to be too optimistic about things.
I understand. And Karina, are you noticing our clients starting to spend more freely, or are they still reticent? Because as Angela indicated, you know, we too have an election coming up and there's a lot of factors that make people very nervous. You know, the wars overseas, inflation, of course, and whatnot. So what are you seeing, and as it relates to your clients and your business?
We definitely are seeing an uptick, but it's a little bit different, I feel like, because the marketing funds are still there, but the big growth that we have seen more so internally are in the HR departments. They're putting more money into their employees versus externally. They're still doing the external, but we're doing a lot more of like the merch kits to their employees. They want to engage them, especially if they're remote. They need to, you know, we have put together a couple programs where it's automatic birthday, you know, gifts that go out automatically. We have our on-demand online stores, which really is really boosted our revenue. And then we've put in like crazy things like merch vending machines. So we're really like all over just working it. So it's not easy, but you know, we have to engage the client, get them, you know, really excited, and they're coming through. But I see it more so internally.
Got you. That's very interesting. So we have a question from the audience. Are there any markets that are growing that you're surprised are growing? So it sounds like maybe a market that you wouldn't have anticipated getting increased business or new business from, and that's for all the panelists. So if anybody just wants to offer their thoughts. New business, I mean, as far as maybe a market, I remember hearing that some markets that are newer that are doing well are alternative medicine. Especially since COVID, things like acupuncture, acupressure, gaming, the gaming industry, the pet market. You know, Mirko and Angela, we are crazy about our pets here in the United States. I don't know how it is in Germany and the UK, but in the United States, we are crazy about our pets. The pet market continues to grow. So any markets that you're seeing that kind of maybe, that's interesting. I wouldn't have expected that, but let me really focus on it.
Dispensaries.
Dispensaries. Well, there you go. Yes.
But we don't do that. But I know that's a big market. I would love to. I would like, maybe we will try to enter that market. But I think that's a big one, actually.
I would say, Michelle, for us, we've touched on the kind of the onboarding, the well-being. I think also still a bit of a fallout from COVID is the experience, the mail order come, you know, all of the portals. I think that's changed the way people buy with so many people working from home as well, I think the distribution of merchandise is really important. So what we're seeing a shift in and more of an interest in is the onboard impacts the well-being, because I think in the past you wouldn't have had the need for it, whereas now marrying it up with hybrid working, we certainly are. So, and that continues to rise. That hasn't petered off since, you know, we've dealt with COVID situation.
Sure.
Yeah, I think Karina and Angela make some really good 2 points here. One is, you know, it's the employee retention, because, you know, human capital is going to be our #1 resource. It's our #1 resource now, and it's going to be, obviously, we know about some of the global trends in terms of population decline. So, you know, getting your employees and having good employees at work, and then that coupled with what Angela was saying, the drop shipping. That's where we see a huge portion of our business, and we've actually become an expert in that and in shipping globally with very competitive rates. So never did I think when I started the company that I would become a drop shipping company, but honestly, it's like I feel like we're a tech company, a media company, and a drop shipping company first, and we just happen to play in the space of promotional products.
Gotcha. I want to talk about product trends for a minute. And Mirko, I'm going to start with you. I was sharing with this group before the webinar went live. I was looking at some data last night that has yet to be released, so sneak peek for everybody who's listening. I would have lost the bet that drinkware is still going strong as a category in North America, because in 2022, drinkware made up 9.9% of the North American promo market. Last year, it was 10.7, which is about $2.8 billion, which is crazy to me. So not slowing at all. And for those of us who have a cabinet full of 10 drinkware items that we love, you know, I'll take one more every day of the week. I love my drinkware. Mirko, what products are resonating with your clients? What do they love? What are they asking for?
So first, drinkware is also in Germany still, I think it's not only a trend. I think really each customer has drinkware in his collection. It's the same as a pen. But in Germany, and I was really surprised about it, we sold unbelievable quantities of socks. And perhaps normally in the US, yeah, but in Germany, I think we've sold more socks the first 6 months in this year than the last 10 years.
Why? Why is that?
I don't know. It's an explosion. Everyone wants to have socks, but that's great. So you can call other customers that were not interested till now, and all of them are really interested. Tell us we should send them information. That's the absolutely highlight in Germany.
Gotcha. And Angela, how about in the UK?
I echo the socks. Random, but I think, again, going back to COVID, I think it was what item can we give that we haven't already got, and everyone was, you know, bottom half, put some socks on, it's chilly, rather than the heating. So yeah, I think drinkware at you know, we're always looking for newer products, more sustainable products. So drinkware has evolved, I would say. So the reason it continues to be a top seller is it's evolving all the time. So we're not just talking, you know, plastic water bottles and mugs, even though they're now, you know, recyclable materials in the plastic mugs. We're now moving into, you know, I'm going to say your Stanley type cup. You know, thank you for that one, because drinkware is getting bigger, which is great. So we're seeing it all evolve, and I think it almost becomes that, which is great for merchandise, that what can we have? What's the newest? What's the biggest? What's the best? And we're seeing that evolve, and it's great with drinkware because it seems to be constantly evolving.
Great. And Karina and Amy?
You want to go? You want me to go?
You can go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to piggyback on those socks. That is really big. And to Michelle's question, why I think it's a sizing issue and a very easy item to mail individually, but also not only, you know, the socks and then your staple drinkware. And I know Amy will touch upon this as well, but it's a drinkware with maybe a give back program. Give back programs are really big now, along with anything you know, the product, not necessarily, but nostalgia. Like anything, the trend towards a nostalgic theme is really, really big. And this is also going to age me. Those chucker hats with the foam, now they have like this new modern twist, and that's kind of bringing, you know, that sort of is coming back too with that experiential marketing. And then you've got the apparel that is always big, but it has now that sustainability twist. They want the organics. That's really huge now as well. So did I answer the question? I don't know.
You did, yeah. And socks is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing socks, which is kind of interesting to me. But
nostalgic items, you know, with the trucker cap, that, you know, but that's going to come and go. And this just sustainability on the apparel, organic cottons too.
That's interesting. And Amy, I want to get your take on that, and then we're going to talk about sustainability for a second, because, you know, I definitely want to get a sense of what's happening in the different markets with that.
Yeah, so what we notice, you know, particularly being here in Seattle with tech, is that everyone loves a tech twist on any item. So the drinkware, if there's some sort of give back that you can use your phone, or really if there's a way to monitor on your phone if you're being hydrated, you know, enough, then you'll get a little dinger, you know, because it pairs with your phone. But I will have to tell you about the socks, so Strideline. I'm going to give a plug for Strideline socks, which is a supplier, but they were started by a couple of high school kids locally, and that started that. Yeah, with the Seattle skyline. And
I did not know that.
But yeah, I don't personally know them, but I know of people that actually are friends with them, and so I love, you know, that story. I mean, they're much older now, but Strideline has been really fun. And they've served us really, really well. And we've definitely done socks for some of our larger clients at the early of this year. And I didn't think anything of it as a big uptick in the trend, because we do socks a lot. But I think there is a trend, increase that I notice now.
That's so interesting. And I think, Karina, that you're right. I mean, they're flat, they're easy to mail. It makes, you know, the lumpy mail, you know, it totally makes sense. I want to ask you guys about sustainability, because there's definitely been a disparity, you know, for those of us who have been going to the European shows for years. You know, I've been going to PSI for about 25 years now. And I would see, you know, 15 years ago, lots of sustainability initiatives at the PSI show, Mirko in Germany and in the UK. And the US has lagged behind for years. We're getting better, though. We're catching up. But there is definitely a longer lead time in Germany and Europe in totality of leaning into sustainability initiatives. And I'm curious now, I know that there's a huge and prolonged and consistent interest in it. Does it break down according to client size? Meaning, is it the bigger clients that are more interested in sustainability items, or are you seeing it with the smaller clients too? Because in my experience, they're the ones that have been a little slower to embrace the trend. I don't know if they think it's because the products are more expensive, but the kind of mom and pop businesses, the local florist, the local bank, the local gas station, maybe wouldn't have cared as much about making sure their products are sustainable. I'm curious if that's changing and how that breaks down. And for Mirko and Angela, what are you seeing as far as even further advancements in sustainability in your country? So I'm going to start with Amy on this one, as far as the client breakdown of interest in sustainable items.
Yeah, I mean, it's what we lead with, honestly. We're going through the process of becoming a B Corp. It's fun to hear about Angela's story. When I met her at Merch World, that's so inspiring how many UK you know, distributors are B Corps. Actually, it's very impressive, and they're large ones. It's not a small boutique-y thing here in the US. I think if you're a B Corp and a promotional products company, you're a little bit more boutique-y. So yeah, we see a huge trend in that, and there's two aspects to that sustainability. One is obviously the products, what they're made of, and are they sourced sustainability, you know, ESG as a whole. But the other thing, the other primary point is, you know, is it something that is not going to go into the garbage? So the brand fill concept. And that's what we really work towards, is that niche market where yes, we source sustainability and circular economy too. We try to go local as much as possible in the areas that we are, sending for the end user. But it's a holistic approach to sustainability.
And Karina, as far as you and what your clients are asking for, is it the larger clients more than the smaller clients? Are they asking for more proof of credentials on a more robust level? Are they becoming more ardent in their desire, like, prove to me that these products are sustainable, that they are made ethically and with social awareness?
That is a great question. And to touch on what Amy had mentioned, we lead with that as well. And a lot of them talk, but sometimes it really ultimately, even the big corporations, it sometimes comes down to a budget, but often they definitely, it will be something. I just remembered one of the items that being really popular, and it might also have to do with the sustainability that we've seen an uptick, are journals. Journals are so, and it might be because of the kits too, but journals are great items that can be made with like the apple peel or the grass clippings, and they tell a story, so you can have a nice imprint area with the QR code talking about it. And to Amy and Angela, that's really exciting about the B Corp, because that's a big thing that is really kind of leading our industry now, is being a B Corp. So circling back to your question, I have not really had to prove so much. They love it, they want it, sometimes yes, sometimes no, but but it's definitely on the uptick, definitely up. Like something, could be, even anything with the bottles, the or the 100% cotton, organic cotton tote bags, something. They're gonna want something.
Gotcha.
It may not be everything, but
Gotcha.
more popular.
Mirko, so when I remember many years ago at the PSI show, I came back and I was so excited because, Karina, to your point, there was an exhibitor who had a journal made of coffee grounds and eggshells. And I came back and told everybody in the US, they looked at me like I was a crazy person, honestly. But that was years and years ago. Mirko, what is happening in the EU, that there's some law that's going to be enacted? Is that right? Where you have to prove where every component of a product comes from? Am I right there?
Yeah, I think actually nobody can really tell you details about this law. We know that in the EU they think about, and the politicians think it would start in 25 or 26. But when they say 25 or 26, I think the earliest point would be 26. And what they want to do is that really each item should get a digital passport, so that you can see where is it produced, from which material is it produced, and something like this. And what we also know is that they want to start with textiles, and then step by step other items should follow. And what's really interesting is that we have a supplier that is absolutely focused on sustainability since many years. They started by their own, and they have already their textiles with a digital passport, and they will step by step also create this for their other items, because they are sure that this law will introduce in the next years. And they say that's our advantage at the market, that more and more big companies are interested in sustainability, and when we are the first that could offer a digital passport, yeah, I think they will really have success with this.
It's so interesting because Europe's sustainability standards are much higher. Their rules and regulations, right? What they require, so much higher than the US's. And if that becomes a law, it'll be interesting if that kind of pulls along us with them in North America. That is a heavy lift for suppliers who are not used to kind of delving that deep. I mean, that'll be very interesting to watch, I think, play out. Angela, we're going to talk about your upcoming election in a second, but I know you are a huge sustainability advocate. What are your clients asking for, and do they all ask for it? Is it something you have to kind of spoon feed them, like feeding a kid broccoli?
No, I think we've seen a huge change. I think the drive is coming down because we know there's going to be something, legislation, taxes, whatever it will be, coming into the UK at some point. I think the passion and demand is there. For, you asked about large corporations or small clients. I think some of it's, I'm going to say, enforced. So if that's their ethos and ESG, that it's enforced, but that's great because that's driving need, demand. The difficulty that we're finding, and it probably links into the digital passport slightly, is education, as in educating people as to what is more sustainable than the other. And obviously we're also looking at things like carbon offsetting, our scope 1, 2 and 3 within all of that to become carbon neutral. And that's a difficult one because in order to do that properly, you've got to know where everything comes from, track it back. And what we find, unfortunately, is that that information isn't readily available. We've created our own digital passport. We've got a scheme that we run, and I've got a lovely member of my team who all day, every day, checks through products, checks their certification. And what's a shame, shall we say, is you can have the best product in the world, but if it hasn't got the certificate that endorses what it says it does on the tin, it's not doing it. So we're finding that what we're being asked for by clients is transparency. That they're not going to go and source those products, but they need to feel confident. So we're giving them that reassurance through our digital passport type approach. So we've got a scheme that we would do, and we'll score a product. What we're finding is we're being a bit tough. We're not scoring as well, but that's because we can't get the information that we need. The other thing that we've seen, and obviously for us in the UK, we've just had quite a big minimum wage hike, and we're also a real living wage employer. So that has a knock-on effect with our manufacturing, and we're quite passionate about UK made because again, it reduces the carbon footprint. So where we've had that hike, and you talked about pricing earlier, we've had the hike in wages, we've got the demand there. We're just seeing that yes, it's going to be difficult for our manufacturers in the UK to sustain a profit and sustain that kind of demand that we're seeing. So interesting times, exciting because the demand is there.
Sure.
It's the education piece for us. Procurement teams don't really understand some of the nuances within promotional merchandise and how many components there are in a pen, and how that's really difficult at end of life to put your hand on your heart and say that's recyclable or that's sustainable.
For sure. I watch in a fascinated way how suppliers are going to have to kind of really step up their game. It's such a huge investment of time, resources, education, and it all starts with them really to kind of provide this for the distributors who can provide it for their clients. So it'll be fascinating to watch. I never discount them though. They're a very resilient, resourceful bunch.
I have a quick question on that, if I may ask Angela. How does China come into this? Are you getting any certification from China? Is it harder? Are people not wanting products from China because you can't?
I would say it's twofold. So there's a couple of things. First of all, some of our supply chain who've typically imported from China, we don't go direct to China, we will use our network within the UK. They may not have been willing to share. And so what we may have done in the past would have been redacted copies. That's no longer accepted or acceptable. So that exposes them slightly more, but obviously, from our perspective, they're protected. I would also say that we have a number of large clients who have it in their head that they don't want products made in the Far East or in China because they're not as sustainable. But actually what's really interesting is when we are doing the product scoring and when we are looking at each product, sometimes if that carbon's offset, or sometimes when you actually look at how it's made and the factories that it's made within, it may not be quite as bad, but the perception is certainly, I don't want to, for some of these clients, the CEO may have a bee in his bonnet and said, I don't want anything from China. I want everything made in the UK, or we can eke it out to Europe for sure, because we're seeing the demand for EU products or European products. So we can deal with that. That's fine. The misconceptions from some of these CEOs, owners, is that we don't make a lot in the UK that they might want. We do some things fantastically, but electronics and all of that sort of thing, we don't make them in the UK at a price that they want to pay, shall we say. So this is where our economies of scale start getting a bit technical. So in answer to your question, yes, it's a big thing at the moment, but purely because I think everyone's trying to reduce their carbon footprint. And that's what, they feel is the answer. It's not always the answer.
Sure. Thank you, Karina.
Very good.
Angela, I want to ask you briefly, we all have elections coming up, although Mirko, yours isn't until 2025. Olaf Scholz gets a little bit of a pass for another year or so, I think, for the Chancellor of Germany. Angela, correct me if I'm wrong, July 4th, ironically enough, is the election for PM, and Rishi Sunak, I don't think he's on the hot seat a little bit. As I told you, my money is always on Larry the Cat at 10 Downing Street. That cat never leaves. He's lasted through five PMs. The reason I ask is because in the US, which is fascinating, every 4 years for the presidential election, we see a bump in promo spending of about $300 million because of the amount of money that's, it's bumper stickers, it's badges, it's buttons. Do you see any of that? You had indicated printing is where you see a bump in business.
I think what we tend to see slightly more, so obviously they go to the media, the TV, the digital, that takes over. I think for us, certainly for our business at Allwag as a distributor, but I know a lot of my colleagues, yes, the print, the flyers, the instant that they need. We don't see, what lovely figures you've got, Michelle, in the US, thanks to our friend, Mr. Trump. But I would say that...
He loves his promo.
we don't see it to the same extent you do. I would say that we have a spike in a few bits, the buntings, the balloons or whatever, but again, going back on the sort of sustainability, we're not seeing that. We're personally not seeing that spike. I don't think our industry is in the same way that you are. There will be some, but there won't be the same uplift that you guys get.
Gotcha. I have a question from the audience for Mirko and Angela from a U.S. supplier. This is from Rich Corvalan at Sticker U. If there's a U.S. or North American supplier looking to expand into the Germany or markets, what advice would you have?
Go, Mirko.
A wholesaler or a supplier?
Supplier.
A supplier. Well, if you're a supplier and you want to make business in Europe, then I think the PSI should be the first step, absolutely, because this fair is even fantastic. I think we've met there at the beginning of the year, and I think if you are really interested to make business in Europe, then the PSI should be your first step.
It's funny, Mirko, I have people who say to me, I think I told Amy this, people in the US, because their clients are becoming more global, that they'll call me, distributors too, and they'll say, can you give me an hour to teach me about the European market? An hour, go to a show, go overseas, go to Merchandise World, go to PSI. Angela, what would you say as far as your advice?
Yeah, I would say, there's always opportunities. If you've got a niche product, you'll fly, because we're always looking for something new. Look into taxes, duties, and what your barriers to entry would be, because we've got some funny old customs and tax rules. But what I would say too is chat to the other guys like the Stride Lines and I know Heidi from Botanical Paperworks up in the north. So we've got some huge successes from US and Canadian suppliers. Yeah, there's definitely business. As long as you've got something unique or something different, then everyone's keen.
Great. I'd like to ask Karina and Amy, I think there's a perception, again, distributors are very interested in the European market, the UK market. And one way to do that, one way to increase your business there is to buy a company. Well, not everybody has the resources to buy an entity in Germany or to buy an entity in the UK. Partnerships have become a really valuable thing to explore. And I think that you two have done a very good job networking and expanding into the European and UK market. Can you give people some tips on things to kind of pay attention to, pitfalls to avoid? Amy?
Yeah, I think attending the shows are key there, because that's where you actually meet and then can speak with other distributors or other, other folks in the industry that might be a great sounding board, but also a collaboration partner. A lot of what is successful in business is just the chemistry between the folks that are working on a project together. So I think it's really important that your vision is aligned and the mission's aligned, and then it's a great rapport with the team. And the only way you can do that is in person, honestly. That's like the best way, in my opinion. So yeah, if you're going to get in that market, I would recommend going to the show, and then you might just end up having a pint with someone that is interesting to you.
That's great. Karina?
Well, I was given some advice at that show straight on, don't acquire. I was told a big company in the US did that, and all the folks that were in the acquired company left. So, and they were left. So I was like, whoa. So I took the crazy approach, because we actually, coming back from Germany, we had a client who had a trade show in Germany, and I'm like, we could do this. I learned baptism by fire. I dove right on in and lost my shirt on it because I didn't know what I was doing, but we totally got it done. But I was like, all the things like, the taxes and just a whole lot. So now we're just taking a step backward to the folks that we had met. Amy, we were at the show, and forming more of those partnerships and alliances. And though we do have some factories that we do work directly with now, that we've learned, how to do it and that sort of thing. So it's going to be a little bit of a mix, and we're bringing on someone actually from the UK in the third quarter. So we're really excited about that. So yeah, that's kind of what we did, and I would totally suggest, to Amy's point, there's that chemistry. You have to know the person. You can also meet them via Zoom or that sort of thing, but I'm a touchy-feely type of person, and I want to communicate with you. I want to talk to you. I want to know what you're all about before,
Sure.
Because we're in a vulnerable position. We're middlemen. You know what I mean? So if something screws up, our client, especially if it's a brand new client, so we have to really, know the person. We're giving them, some of our client information. We have to really be able to work well with them. And the same with the factories. You get to talk to the people in the factories, the client, the reps, so.
Yep. See, had you known Mirko, then he could have helped you, so you didn't lose your shirt.
Germany is a tough one.
Angela and Mirko, from distributors overseas, what advice would you have for your counterparts, maybe looking to, because you both know the US and have, contacts and clients. Certainly in Promo Alliance, we're able to help connect people, but you guys are really in it, right? You have boots on the ground. So what advice would you give?
I think I would say, from our perspective, we chatted about Brexit. So just at the start, we learned, Karina, we learned the hard way when Brexit hit. So I feel your pain. Yeah. But we managed to, our solutions that we've got out to EMEA work once you know the system, you know how to work the system, and you manage to get it right. And it does take some doing. There's some pain involved. So I'm sorry that you've experienced that, but there'll probably be a little bit more. I think it's about collaboration. I think it's about honesty. Amy mentioned sort of shared values. I think if you both know what you want to get out of it in terms of the partnerships, and you're prepared to work together, but also know that there's got to be some sacrifices in that partnership. Sometimes there has to be enough in it for everybody. So there'll be times when I might be asked questions, and I've certainly been asked by numerous US distributors, would you work with me, or where could I get this from? And in some instances, I take the view that, look, honestly, let me give you my supplier because this is going to be better for you. There's not enough in it in that product range, or by the time you've paid your taxes and your customs and whatever else. Or alternatively, there's a solution where we can support and help and have, you know, use our storage and whatever else to have that partnership. But actually trying to help and add value from both sides works really well.
Sure. Mirko?
Yeah, I think most important is to connect with people. Well, that's what Amy says. So go into the plane, and we fly to Germany or fly to the US. So we've also been in Las Vegas at the beginning of the year to join and to visit the fair. Because I think if you talk about collaboration or acquisition, I think it absolutely depends on the characters that are working there. No, if you have entrepreneurs that are mostly interested to be absolutely independent and to decide all things by their own, then collaboration, partnership, or something like this is the right way for them. And if you have characters that say, hey, let's build something big together, and then you also have to know not everything would run in this way that you would decide. Then acquisitions could also be a very interesting partner for us. In Germany, we have both. We had 10 acquisitions now in Germany by our own, but we also had good relationship to another promotion item wholesaler. I'm in the advisory board of our association, so our network is very important, also to the supplier as to the distributors. Yeah, you have to be in contact with the right person, I think.
Of course, of course. Thank you so much. I'm mindful of our time, you guys, so I just want to thank you all. If anyone is interested in connecting with Karina or Amy or Angela or Mirko, you can email me at mbell@asicentral.com. Thank you guys so much for your time. Any last words?
No, it's been a pleasure. It's been lovely to speak to you and learn about your markets as well as share ours.
So much
That's
great.
great.
Thank you, Michelle, for putting this together.
Of course, and I look forward to seeing you all overseas. I'll be in Vienna at a promo networking conference in September for GXN. I, of course, will be at PSI and Merchandise World in January with the gang at Sourcing City, who, by the way, Angela, Jason Grenham is like Larry the Cat. He never leaves. He's always there. He's the industry's Larry the Cat. So thank you all. If anybody has any questions, reach out to me, mbell@asicentral.com. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks, Errol.
Guys.